worked with so many different businesses. Where do you see most businesses get the pyramid wrong? Where do most people go wrong in building out the right reliability practices at an organization?
Yeah. Well, the worst ones don't even use the pyramids, so that's easy. But even where they do, and the pyramid in the book is quite well known. The book's actually a bestseller, and it's rather well known, particularly in the English-speaking world. The biggest mistakes that I see are where the say the maintenance manager or the lead guy in maintenance will try to implement this thing on his own, and he'll do it one piece at a time. It doesn't work. It's designed. You've got 10 components to it. They're interdependent. They work together. Implementing just one on its own is never fully effective. Focusing, for example, on maintenance planning and scheduling. Yes, it's got to be done, but without we're looking at the supply of materials through your storeroom without looking at the PMs that are going to be implemented on its own. It's only going to achieve a very limited result. And because of that, they'll get that limited result. They'll see, oh, well, yeah, there's an improvement, but it's small, it's incremental, and they give up. They kind of stop there. So not sticking with it is a bit of a problem, and a piecemeal approach. If they go at it as like at that maintenance manager level too, they won't necessarily have the cooperation from the supply chain, from the operations people, from human resources, and maybe even finance. They need those groups collaborating to make this really work. If you do it at too low a level in the organization, they rarely get that cooperation. Certainly not across the board. So that's probably the biggest mistake is not addressing it as an initiative that's going to affect the entire site or the entire company. Just looking at it as a maintenance only thing is really not going to have. It'll make some improvement, but it won't be as effective as it can be.
What is the solution there, James? Because we talk about this so often that it's so important to have upper management buy into proactive reliability best practices. But then at the same token, it's like to really invest in that is a considerable amount of time and money. So commonly, like upper management doesn't want to invest in it until like there's some proof of value shown first. So it almost seems like a chicken and the egg problem. How do we solve this?
Well, a big part of it is educate them. I actually prefer to talk to very senior people rather than the maintenance people when it's time to be selling my services. Like I said, I've had CEOs, CFOs, COOs, VPs of operations. Those make a great target market for me because they will understand the business value. And it's actually quite a bit less expensive to operate reliably than it is to operate unreliably, like by a big margin. Just last year, I worked with a mining company on the business case for making improvements in maintenance and reliability, and we were looking at, I think it was 6 or 7 different mines in the corporation. The combined cost savings annually from implementing these practices was about $100 million a year. That's just the cost savings. The expected gains in revenue driven by the added availability, which came from having a more reliable operation, were nearly $1 billion a year across those operations. The cost to implement that would probably have been on the order of maybe $20 million over a couple of years. So it was a huge prize for a very, very small investment.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, it was a mining company with a commodity that sells at a pretty good margin. And these days, with all these virus scares, it sells at a really good margin. And they haven't actually implemented it yet, oddly enough. Now, I think they're missing out on a huge opportunity in that particular case. Other companies have gone ahead and implemented it and realized that the gains in reliability lead to more ability to produce at a lower cost per unit because your maintenance costs actually go down with a reliable operation. So the dollars spent per unit of output go down, and the revenue generation that comes from it far outshadows the cost savings by typically an order of magnitude or more. So I think where companies often get it wrong in looking at this as an investment is they think of it as they're going to be investing in something that they're spending money on, and then they see it as an expense. And you know, maintenance in the accounting world is treated as an expense, but in reality, it's I prefer to look at it as an investment in your productive capacity.